We have some really exciting Scarlet and Violet era sets that are dropping real soon, but today I'm going to do a little bit of predicting. I'm going to be going through each Scarlet and Violet era set, booster boxes and ETBs for the holiday sets, and I'm going to do a little bit of predicting to see where I think that the value of these will go in the future. Of course, this is 100% speculation. This is just my thoughts on where these sets will be and these booster boxes and these products will be, you know, in 3 to 5 years time. Of course, we've seen Sword and Shield having a big, huge boom recently. A lot of the sets are just kind of plateauing now, but they've had their boom. Whether or not it will continue will be another matter. Today, though, is about Scarlet and Violet. I'm doing another tier list. Let's get into it. Okay, so we've got the different categories here. We've got over $1,000, $500 to $1,000, $300 to $500, $200 to $300, and less than $200. Now, a lot of these will be going up in value over time. Obviously, it's too early to tell, of course, especially with some of these sets, because we are going to be going through sets that haven't even been released yet, right? So this is just complete guesswork, but it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be talking through why I think these sets are going to go where I think they'll go in the future. Of course, anything can change. You know, I didn't expect, you know, sets like Evolving Skies to pop off as much as it did. We kind of knew it was going to be one of the top sets or the top set. But I was kind of surprised with Fusion Strike, for example. So let's go through each of these, and this is going to be an interesting one. Of course, I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments as well. Let me know if I'm way off, or do you think I'm the same, you know, thinking the same, or, you know, or whatever, right? So first off, we have a Scarlet and Violet base set. So this is just the base set. I do still feel like Scarlet and Violet base is one of the best base sets that we've seen in a very long time, right? Way better than Sword and Shield base, way better than Sun and Moon base, better than XY base. I think it's just such a really good base set. The downside is there's an absolute shed load of it around, right? Even now it's been out for over a year, there's just so many. This is going to be an interesting one because if you look at the Sword and Shield base set booster box, it's like $300, right? At the moment, Scarlet and Violet, you're looking around about 90 to 100, really easy to find everywhere. So for me, it's going to be a tricky one. I do still feel like this does have potential, because even if we've seen, you know, we have to look back at the history of like the Sword and Shield, because that's what we could compare it to the previous era. Even Rebel Clash, which is a poor set, has done very well. That's over $200 a box. So it's like, do I think Scarlet and Violet base can break $200 in the next 3 to 5 years? This is what we go up to. So over the next 5 years, so to give us a time frame. Of course, we'll be like, oh wow, 20, 30 years. No, in the next 3 to 5 years. So after the print cycle's done, and we're giving it a couple of more years after, right? Because we saw that with Sun and Moon era sets where they started to boom. Of course, Sword and Shield is kind of a weird one, but where does this lie? I kind of feel like that Scarlet and Violet base, even though I feel like it's such a really good base set, I don't think it'll break $200 in 3 to 5 years. I don't think it will. Even if it's sat just below 200, now you would still double your money, right? If you bought it at 90, I mean, you could have picked this up for even cheaper. But I just don't think it's going to break 200. It's going to be interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we got Paldea Evolved. Well, Paldea Evolved already is like 130 or over 130 a box. And okay, fair enough, we are waiting a reprint, but this set, in my opinion, is going to be one of the best sets in the era. It just is. It already has that power behind it with the Magikarp and some of the illustration range again there, and the Iono, of course. So, but will it break $1,000? That's crazy. Will it break $1,000? Will any of these break $1,000? I think that Paldea Evolved, in my opinion, would sit probably around the 500 to 1,000. I think it has that potential. The fact that we've already started to see it doing very well, I think it has that potential in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, it might not be towards the $1,000 mark, but I do feel like it will break $500 in the next 3 to 5 years. Don't forget the set's already been out over a year, so we will be looking at potentially having no more reprints after this year. So that would be an interesting one to see what happens with Paldea Evolved. Right, so and then one thing I will say is with the Sword and Shield era, of course, like the only box we've seen to reach over 500 is Evolving Skies, and a lot of those sets have been out 3 years. So you know, you kind of have to take a lot of this with a pinch of salt. I don't think there'd be that many that would be in this. I don't think it'd be like, I see that many in this category, but I don't think it'd be towards that 1,000. I think it'd be more towards that 500. So it's got to be, to get into this bracket, it's got to be like insane, right? And I don't know whether or not we're going to have any. They'll probably at the moment get into here. But, you know, we'll go through them. But I think in this bracket, it's got to take an Evolving Skies level set to kind of get here. And I think Paldea Evolved is not quite an Evolving Skies level. Of course, Evolving Skies is towards the top end of this. So I think this will be at the bottom end. That's my logic, but we'll figure out. Obsidian Flames. Obsidian Flames are kind of poor. I did call it Darts of Blaze 2.0. I predicted that it would be Darts of Blaze 2.0. Where would it be down the line? I don't think it would be that great, but I do think it will do better than base set. I really do. So I think we could probably say that in the next 3 to 5 years. So yeah, if we go up to 5 years, I think we could probably see it in the 200 to 300, probably in the low 200s. I think in the low 200s. Dance of Blaze is like 150 a box, and that set's now been out, what, 4 years? Nearly 4 years. So, and this is better than Dance of Blaze. It is better. And we've already started to see some Obsidian Flames booster boxes go up a little bit more, but I think this will be towards the bottom end of this. So you could be in the less than 200, but I think 200 at an absolute maximum in 5 years is probably about right. Then we got Pokemon 151. This is just a regular ETB, not the Pokemon Center ETB. Now, if this was a booster box, so if it was a main set, this would be up there with Paldea Evolved, in my opinion. I think 151 is insane, and I think it would do incredibly well. But it is an ETB, of course. And, you know, if the reprint is due to come, which is looking to be at the end of this year, then I would expect the cost of these to fall. Now, these have already been going up in price. I mean, over here in the UK, you're looking around about £70 plus for an ETB. But in my opinion, where would it be? It all depends on the reprint. I think obviously the reprints for all of these could hurt a lot of these sets. But I already feel like sets like Paldea Evolved, for example, it's already started to see really, really good growth anyway. So, you know, a reprint, yeah, it might slow it down a bit, but it'll bounce back twice as hard when it goes out of print, as we've seen with a lot of the Sword and Shield. A lot of the Sword and Shield era sets did get heavily printed, like Evolving Skies, and it did very, very well. So for me, 151, I know everybody loves it. I know everybody thinks it's going to be absolutely incredible. But because it is a regular ETB, not the Pokemon Center ETB, it's going in the less than $200. I don't see a regular ETB for a holiday set, especially with reprints on the horizon, being above $200 in the next 3 to 5 years. I just don't see it. You look at Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates is what, around like 160, 170. That got heavily printed. You could argue that Pokemon 151 regular ETB is better than the Hidden Fates ETB, but we do have the Pokemon Center version. Now, if it was the Pokemon Center version, I would probably put that in the 200 to 300 range. But I think because it's just the regular one, and you have the option, of course, to get the Pokemon Center one, then it would be higher. There's no Pokemon Center version of Hidden Fates. So, you know, just the way it is. But yeah, I think at less than 200. But if it was a booster box, way more. Then we have Paradox Rift is up next. Paradox Rift is an interesting one. I do feel like Paradox Rift is the start of like when the set started to pick up a little bit of steam and started to be actually pretty decent. So for me, I think Paradox Rift has some really, really good cards in it. You know, of course, you've got the Groudon, you've got the Roaring Moon. Iron Valent's a great card as well. There's just so many good cards in the set. And I think it would carry the set quite a bit. Good, strong illustration rares as well. But for me, where do I see it? So in the next 3 to 5 years, I kind of want to put it in the 300 to 500 range. But that would mean that Paradox Rift is potentially on that same level as a Fusion Strike or a Chilling Reign from Sword and Shield. And I kind of don't feel like it is, if you get what I mean. I kind of don't feel like it is. So for me, I would probably put it higher than Obsidian, probably towards that top end of the 200 to 300. I just can't see it being on that same level, so we have to compare it, you know, to the previous era in the next 3 to 5 years of it being better than a Fusion Strike or a Chilling Reign. We just don't know, right? Fusion Strike is like nearly 250 a box. So you're looking at that middle range, like 200 to 300. Is Paradox Rift better? I just don't think it has big enough chase cards to carry it as much as a set like Fusion Strike or Chilling Reign. So I'll say 200 to 300. Still very good though. Paladin Fates, the regular ETB again, not the Pokemon Center version. This is most definitely weaker. I'm gonna have to swap this around. I think this is probably gonna be. Let's probably put Scarlet Violet base at the bottom. There we go. 151 better. Right. Paladin Fates, I'm gonna have to put right at the bottom. Reason being is there's a ton of the product around at the moment. There's more than likely going to be reprints, okay? And on top of that, we got to compare this to Shining Fates, which was the previous Shining Fates set, you know, Fate set previous compared to Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates is just way better. Hidden Fates is better than Paladin Fates, but Paladin Fates is better than Shining Fates. Now, Shining Fates has been out, what, 3 years now, and the ETB is pretty much the exact same price as it was when it came out, which isn't great at all. Paladin Fates, will its fate be the same? I kind of feel like it'd be slightly different, mainly because it is a better set. You do have bigger chase cards in it. In my opinion, better baby shinies. So for me, I do think it is better. If it was a booster box set, then I would probably put in the 200 to 300. But because again, it's an ETB, I think it's going to be less than 200 in the next 3 to 5 years. It will probably be less than 100. Would be my prediction, but I don't think it's one of the better ones. Then we have Temporal Forces. Now, I highly rate Temporal Forces. I think Temporal Forces is absolutely amazing. I think the SIRs in the set are just incredible. Is it better than Paradox Rift? I kind of would probably say yes. I do think it's better than Paradox Rift. It's definitely got more valuable chase cards in it. We started to see the more difficulty in pull rates start to appear, which is a really, really big one. I do feel like it is going to be a very, very good set moving forward. And I think with Temporal, moving from Temporal into the more recent sets, they've reduced the print runs as well. So not only have we got tougher pull rates, but we've got reduced print runs or amount printed for these sets. So it's going to make it even more constricted in the availability and stuff like that of the supply. So for me, I feel like Temporal is going to do very well. Is it as good as Paldea Evolved? In my opinion, no. I think Paldea Evolved already is starting to show its power. So I think we're going to look at 300 to 500. I think it's going to be very good. I do think it's going to be better than Paradox, but I kind of feel like it'll be probably at the bottom end of that 300 to 500. I think so. I think it'll be between that 300 to 500. I do feel like it's going to be a very good one. Bit better than Paradox Rift, but a lot of them are very similar in my opinion, but I think Temporal just sneaks out ahead. Then we've got Twilight Masquerade, the Greninja set. This booster box has been out, 2 months? Month and a bit at the moment, and already we're seeing booster boxes at 120, and they're going up. So this set is doing very well. The Greninja is the most expensive card in the Scarlet and Violet era by a huge margin. You know, the Greninja is like over 2 times more expensive than the next most expensive card. It's set in like $250 right now. Now, you could argue, was that hype or whatever? I don't think so. I think the really tough pull rates of Greninja, I think the set, again, similar to Temporal Forces, had a much smaller print run or amount printed when the set was released. I mean, the Greninja is like tougher to pull than most of the biggest alt arts in Sword and Shield. Like, the pull rate data is absolutely bonkers. So, I think Twilight, it's smash out of the park, right? Because the Carmine's doing very well, the Eevee's doing very well. A lot of cards in the lower kind of like bracket, lower tier of the SIRs are actually going up. So that's a good sign, especially for a set. As a rule, don't forget guys, when sets come out, when people cracking open packs on release, cards plummet in price. They just absolutely fall because a lot of them hit in the market. We just didn't see that with Twilight. Twilight, everything just shot massively and it's continued to climb, with booster boxes now going at 120. I mean, over here in the UK, I'm now seeing Twilight Masquerade getting harder and harder to get hold of, and booster boxes actually starting to become a little bit more pricey. So, is it as good as Temporal? Is it as good as Paldea? Now, you could argue it's better than Paldea Evolved. You could, right? You could say, look, you've got a much bigger chase card in the Greninja compared to the Magikarp, right? The Magikarp is actually easier to pull because it's an illustration rare compared to the Greninja. The Greninja is like nearly twice the value of the Magikarp. And there are other cards in Twilight Masquerade that are nearly the same value as the Magikarp, right? Carmine's like $100. We have the pairing, which is nearly $100. So you have multiple cards above that $50 plus threshold, which is very, very strong. Whereas in Powder Evolved, you've got like 2 cards. You've got the Iono and the Magikarp around that $50 plus, whereas Twilight's got way more. Really interesting. You may think I'm crazy, and you know, I could be crazy, but I actually think that Twilight Masquerade will be better than Powder Evolved. I truly believe it. I think it's already showing that potential. Look, I'm not a huge fan of the set, so I can't be like, you know what, I absolutely love this set. Same with Fusion Strike. I wasn't a huge fan of Fusion Strike, but I can't deny how good Fusion Strike has performed as a sealed product. I just can't, right? So for me, I put Twilight Masquerade above Powder Evolved. Yeah. Next up, we're going to do Shrouded Fable next, which is going to be the next holiday set, of course. We're recording this before it is released. The kind of feeling I'm getting from the set, or from what a lot of people have said about the set, is they're not bothered, right? And already in this list, we've put ETBs all along the bottom, because they're just not as good as booster boxes. They just aren't. And I think this is probably going to be, in my opinion, one of the weakest going into the future for Scarlet and Violet era. You could argue this is the next Pokemon Go. It could be. We just don't know. This obviously the set's not out yet. The feeling that I'm getting from people in this set is, you know, they're not really excited. There's no real big chase cards that people want. As a rule, holiday sets tend to get heavily printed. On top of that, the pull rates tend to be pretty decent. So you could be looking at kind of a mediocre set. I do think it's worse than Paladin Fates. Straight up. I think the Charizard and the Mew in Paladin Fates really does carry it, along with the other baby shinies in the set and other shinies you can get. But yeah, for me, Shrouded Fable, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, it's too early. It's not even out yet. But I just think it's going to be a set where I just don't see it. Definitely not breaking $200. Let's put it that way. Then we have Stellar Crown. Of course, again, this set is yet to come out. Comes out in September. From what we've seen so far of what's been shown, I think we have a good, strong contender here amongst the other top sets in the Scarlet and Violet era. I think this is going to be a good one. All depends on pull rates. It really does. Pull rates make a huge difference and a huge impact on how well a set performs, especially if it's got big chase cards. Now, we looked at Stellar Miracle, which is the Japanese version of Stellar Crown, and it seems to be good overall reception from the like rainbow style crystal cards to, of course, Dash Bun, you know, my all-time favorite SIR printed so far. You know, this looks to be good. It looks to be a really good set. It really does depend on, does this set have a big chase card like the Greninja, like the Magikarp? I kind of feel like it doesn't. We might be seeing a really expensive, you know, trainer card potentially. I hope not, but it's looking like that from the Japanese anyway. It's definitely a trainer card, but I just don't see many cards. I hope the Dash Bun goes really high, but I don't see many cards in this set going insane. It all depends on the pull rates. If the pull rates are like Twilight Masquerade, then it's completely flipped on its head and it's going to just do absolutely incredible. But I just, at this moment in time, because we don't have the data, this is going off of complete guessing. I'm going to probably put this below Temporal Forces. I know it sounds crazy. I do feel like it's going to be a good set, but it all depends on the pull rates. I don't know whether or not this is going to be a set which will do better than Temporal, better than Paradox, and then be on that same level as Twilight Masquerade and Powder Evolved. We just don't know. Obviously, I'll come back to this list later on, probably towards the end of the year. I will review this because we would have Stellar Crown out, Shrouded Fable, and the new Dragon set that's releasing, I think, in November. So then we can look back and we can really see, after reprints as well, where these sets will lie going into 2025. But this is my prediction at the moment. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, guys. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably completely wrong. Before you know it, Scarlet and Violet base is going to be worth more than Twilight Masquerade. You watch it happen. But this is going to be my prediction. I think Twilight Masquerade at the moment is going to be the strongest performing Scarlet and Violet era set, and then Powder Evolved in a close second. I mean, they might not even reach that 500, but this is just trying to rank them and how I think that they would go, and this will be my guess. So there you have it, guys. Those are my predictions for how I think these sets will go in the future. Of course, some of them aren't even out yet, with Shrouded Fable and Stellar Crown yet to release, and then of course we have reprints coming, and then another set coming in November. So I will be reviewing it, as I said, later on this year. I'm going to be doing a Sword and Shield version of this, so make sure you subscribe and check out that video when that drops. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you think I'm completely wrong? Do you agree with my picks? Of course, this is just 100% guessing. I have no idea. It's just a little bit of fun, and I'm going to look back at this and see if I was right or wrong in the future. But if you made fun of the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button, make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content. But that's it from me, guys, in today's video. If you do want to watch more Pokemon content, then make sure to click the video on the screen. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.